Hello, beautiful souls. Today I wanted to share about a topic I've been wanting to share about for quite a while, but I've been holding back because I acknowledge that we live in a conservative society where this topic, which is the topic of dating, is quite a sensitive one. So today I wanted to share 5 points or 5 invitations or 5 possibilities in this world of dating that might make it more friendly to our conservative society and perhaps welcome you to explore this aspect of your life in a way that is respectful to your own beliefs and also that is appropriate in the context we are living in. Because we never really want to fight battles day after day after day. We're not here to keep fighting. We're here to live a beautiful life. And so it's my job to help you find ways where you can live your truth, live your essence, live the beauty and pleasures of life in the easiest way possible. So rather than battling towards that or fighting for our freedom, how can we lean into it in a more graceful way? So today's video, stay tuned. We are going to share 5 tips that are going to change your reality and make dating so much easier and funner than you could have imagined. Number 1 is the idea that really makes this topic essential, which is that dating is not something we do as a bonus or a luxury or only when we travel to Europe or other parts of the world. Dating is an essential part of being human. Because by virtue of being human, you have also chosen to be a woman. That's about 50% of humanity, which leaves out another 50%. And it's natural and necessary that because we are of this feminine essence, that we begin to explore and understand the masculine other. Because as long as we do not understand each other, men, woman, woman, men, we will never ever be able to live in harmony and peace, which is ultimately what we all desire and what is causing so much disharmony and imbalance in the world today. So the first point I wanted to share, and this comes from my own belief, so feel free to disagree. Feel free to feel like challenging me, or feel free to really stand by your own definitions of what is necessary and unnecessary. For me, dating is a necessary part of life because dating is when you start to get to know this other species that is men. And the main word here should be understanding and connection. So this first point is really about opening up to this possibility because it is the natural extension of our being. You're born a woman and there's 50% of the other part of your species are men. And we are different. And we will never understand one another if the gap between us, the bridges between us are not built. Because otherwise you're a woman here and the men are here. And so dating is one way we can start to just get to know each other, ask one another questions, go out for lunch, get to know how the other thinks, what they believe in, what they stand for, what motivates them in life, what gives them joy, what gives them radical aliveness. And so we can take dating as a process of getting to know. And yes, dating can be romantic, and when that happens, great. But dating can also be platonic. Platonic meaning there is nowhere to get to, there is no end to reach. It's just a way to get to know one another. You see someone, you think they're interesting, ask them out on a date. Do you want to go out for coffee? Do you want to go out for lunch? Not making it a bigger deal than it is. It is part of your human experience to get to know the 50% that is the other male psyche and way of being in the world. And you will never be able to do that if you don't put yourself out there. Of course, as a woman, we love to be asked out on dates, and that's really something because we love to receive and we love to be approached. And it's okay if you find somebody interesting to go and say something like, hey, I find you interesting. Would you like to grab coffee sometime? Don't be shy. Some men will love it. And some men, you'll go out on a date and find out you're simply friends, and that is so beautiful. So try not to make it a bigger deal or to create meaning or to try to get somewhere from the first moment. Just try to go in with the intention of, I want to get to know this person. They seem interesting to me. There's something for me to discover, right? It adds this excitement to life. And also it stops putting you in a box of, I go on a date because I want a boyfriend, or I'll go on a date because I want a fiance, or I go on a date because I want to get married. I just go on a date because I want to get to know people. I want to connect. I want to hear about their world. And trust me, today I'm going to share with you more of this process, how to make it the safest possible for yourself as a woman so that nothing is misunderstood and everything is clear from the get-go. So which brings me to point number 2. There's no point to go out dating if you're not already invested in getting to know yourself. Because dating is where your world, your universe gets to bridge with another person's universe, another soul. So 2 souls colliding. But if you are not invested in your own journey, in your own process of getting to know your own soul, of getting to know your own uniqueness, getting to explore your own expressions in this life, then you're going to go to the state only seeking attention, seeking something. And this neediness, this attachment is really off-putting to anyone you will go out with because they can smell it, they can feel it energetically. Energy doesn't lie. So you want to go and have a real connection with someone. The foundation of all that has to be that you are connected with yourself. That means you have your own practices, you have your own path, you have your own passions, your own friends. You're not going into this date or this relationship or this potential of a growing relationship, putting all your eggs in that basket, that date is going to make or break my life. If that date goes wrong, everything in my life is a disaster. No. That puts too much pressure both on you and the other person. Go on a date only after you've done the work with yourself. That doesn't mean that you won't go on a date until you've done all the work and you've self-actualized and you know who you are and there's nothing left to do. No, that's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is that if you want to start going on conscious dates and open up to the possibility of conscious relationships, then you must first truly commit to your own evolution, to your own self-knowing, to your own connection with Source. And you can start right now. Just be with yourself and be fully satisfied in that. Don't be waiting for someone to fill in the void that exists within you. That's a very important point, and that's where most of the dating goes wrong. We go in needy rather than we go in full. And from the cup that is full, we get to share our gifts with one another, our light with one another. And that kind of connection is so much more beautiful than the older kind, the old paradigm of the needy romantic date. All right, so number 3 is a very, very important one, which is the importance of being clear with our boundaries. And this is how we can ensure that dating doesn't go wrong. Because when I'm talking about dating, I'm really just talking about the simple reality of you and another person getting to know each other. Linguistically, you're speaking words, and as you speak words, your energies will speak. So something will be communicating beyond the words. Your souls will start to explore if this person's soul feels safe and right and expansive to you. And so one of the important things to keep in mind as you go into this experience is the clarity of your own boundaries. Because when I mean date, I don't mean you have to go and touch someone or hold their hand or kiss them or do anything else. Dating simply means getting to know another person. And eventually, we all want to find our life partners, right? So there's no way we're gonna have that in a way that is really deep and real if we don't start first with the dating process. But in order to start, it is so important for you to be clear what your boundaries are. So maybe for you, your boundary or your agreement or the level of consent you want to give is that for the first 5 dates or 10 dates, you don't want any physical contact. Nothing, not even touching hands. And that can be because of your own boundaries. That can be because of your religious boundaries. That can be because of your social boundaries. That can be because of your cultural boundaries. That can be because of a million reasons. And that doesn't really matter from where your boundary comes from, as long as it comes from inside you, that you are very clear that's a boundary for you. So be clear about your boundaries and be clear in the agreement of this potential relationship, of this dating space, what your boundaries are. Maybe not from the first moment where you're like, you know what, I am not going to be able to offer any touch for the first 5 days. You don't have to be harsh or brutal about it. When the right moment comes, open up the agreements of what you can share and what you cannot share of yourself. And so maybe you say, you know what, I am here to just get to know each other. I don't know where this will go. And one of the agreements I want us to have is to have no expectations. One of the agreements I want us to have is that not to make any assumptions as well. Because when you make assumptions, then things will just go wrong because maybe your assumptions are wrong. Maybe the other person's boundaries are different than yours. Maybe the other person is looking for something that you cannot offer. So communication and expressing your boundaries is very, very, very important so that the situation is not misread, so that you don't end up being in a place or situation that you don't want. And to really acknowledge the sacredness of your own power, of your own choice, of your own capacity to say no to something that feels wrong to you. Because here's the thing, you might go on a date and you might feel a connection with this person. You might really like them. You might feel curious. You might feel something tingly in your being, excitement. But maybe you don't want to be touched. So if that person reaches a hand out and you feel uncomfortable, not ready for that touch, then that's a moment to express your boundaries and to be very honest. You know what? I'm really enjoying this time we're spending together, but I don't think I'm ready for any physical contact yet. And maybe I won't be ready for 5 dates. And I'm fine with that. Are you fine with that? How do you feel about that? And that also comes with learning to express your needs. Your needs. Maybe you have a desire or a need that the other person brings you a flower to every date, to feel like you are cherished and celebrated and seen as the goddess that you are. And again, this comes back to expectations. If you have a need and you're not expecting it, and you're not expressing it, and you're just expecting the other person to know your need, then you're in trouble because the other person is not going to know your needs. See, the thing I think we all learned the hard way about men is that they are a very different species, and I'll be talking a lot about that in my upcoming podcast. But what's important now is that knowing we are different, how do we bridge the difference? By expressing. Men like direct, clear communication. We women like subtleties. We like to maybe point to something, but not directly say we want that gift. That doesn't really work with men. Very rarely. It might work once or twice, sometimes, rarely. The more you can express your needs, just like you expressed your boundaries, the more you'll be able to get what you want. Eventually, that's what you want. You want to get what you want. You want to get what you want. That will make you happy to get what you want, right? Or you will feel more happy if you don't get what you want. I don't think so. So if you want to get what you want, you have to ask for what you need. And really spend time thinking about what you need and what your boundaries are. Maybe what you need is a lot of presence. And this is something men, especially unconscious men, have not been taught to give. Full attention, presence is something that a woman desires from the depths of her soul. And a man who can offer that to a woman, to really see her, to really be present there with her energetically, that's gonna really allow her to feel safe and seen and heard. And sisters, you know when a man is there but he's not present, how much that hurts. But they haven't been trained, they haven't been educated. And so all of this is a part of bridging these gaps, these points of ignorance in our culture, in our modern society. Not to blame, not to attack, but to have more compassion and become more the embodiment of the light that brings that light to the darkness. Where there is ignorance, you bring this wisdom. Where there is silence, you bring your own voice, your own knowing of your own needs and your boundaries. So these steps are very, very important. Don't forget them as you dive a bit more deeply into the dating scene. And that brings me to number 5. And this is a very, very important one. And please, if you have done them all, do not forget this 5th point. It's very, very essential to make sure that you go dating, okay? Dating. It's a light thing. And the 5th point is this: keep it light, keep it fun. Go out as an explorer, going to explore a new human being, going to explore a new potential connection. Keep it light. Don't have so much weight or baggage with you. Don't have so much expectations. Don't have so much judgment of the other person. Go in with more curiosity. Go in with more presence, awareness, love, compassion. Go in with more soul, so that the space you create between both of you can have that quality of soulfulness. And both men and women desire this. It's not just women. Men desire soulful companions, soulful relationships, soulful connections. And so it's time to be co-creating that reality for all of us. And today I just want to share these 5 steps or tips to starting to connect with this dating space in a way that is respectful to who you are as a person, as a woman, and in a way that also gives you a bit more space to play, gives you a bit more space to discover, gives you a bit more space to explore who you are while being very, very, very clear with your boundaries, where you don't go and where you go. And here's the thing, as humans, as women, we need connection. And as long as we are not receiving and creating these connections with other people, something is going to feel empty and lacking. And we're just going to be obsessed with getting married for the rest of our life because we feel that's going to fulfill everything. But here's the thing. Just going on a few fun dates will also fulfill you very deeply, because you'll be connecting with someone, having fun conversation, talking about life, talking about philosophy. And you'll also be getting to know yourself. You'll be getting to know... Is that even English? You'll be getting to know yourself. Yes, I think that's English. Because we're social beings, and that's how we discover who we are. And so that's why I did this video, to invite you into the space of expansion in a way that is loving and respectful to yourself. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, share it with a friend who you know wants to start dating, and subscribe to my channel to keep receiving these awesome videos week after week after week. Visit madihabi.com for more information on my offerings, and I'll see you again next week.